My response, first of all, is that the Arab initiative is the initiative of all the Arabs, all of them. It is not an individual music coming from this side or that side. This is a collective, a unanimous initiative. On the contrary, we hear different voices representing the point of view of Israel. What we heard today from Shimon Peres is not what other colleagues heard yesterday from Livni, the foreign minister. There are either reluctance or this is the new policy to send different signals and procrastinate as much as you can. But anyway, we wait for what Shimon Peres has said, that there is something they are going to offer. Therefore, there is something serious that they are going to put on paper and address it to.
You see that as a commitment now?
Excuse me?
You see that as a commitment now from Israel?
Well, I hope he was telling us a policy line, a government policy line, not just an analysis. As for the congressman here, I really must refer to something that annoys all of us, which is that the American policy in the Middle East follows the Israeli interpretation of things. Whatever Israel says, this is taken as if this is indeed the situation. So Israel considers Hamas as a terrorist organization, so Hamas is a terrorist organization. For us, it is not a terrorist organization. For us, it is an elected party and member of a national unity government. The phrase the congressman has mentioned with a government in the morning and a terrorist organization at night, this of course is not true at all. The things are not conducted that way. And the point raised by Saib, and I'm going to stress it again, the problem is not Hamas. The problem is not Iran, as Shimon was saying. The problem is the military occupation of the occupied territories. This is the situation. This is the issue. Let us not forget that the point number 1 up until point number 100 is the existence of foreign military occupation. Therefore, there will be violence. How come that an occupation, and a violent occupation for that matter, a violent occupation, and you need to get from all the Palestinians just a certificate that, okay, we are going to sit tight and let Israel do what it wants to do, and it is doing in the occupied territories, using violence also. Having said that, I have 2 observations. Number 1, that we are definitely, all of us, on the Arab side, against harming civilians, be them Israelis or Palestinians. That's number 1. Number 2, that the Israeli army in the occupied territories, building settlements in the occupied territories, they do provoke people. They have to have reaction. We cannot call on the Palestinians to sit tight or to accept the occupation or to be just pacified until the Israelis consider the time to withdraw. The other point, which is the last one, you have called on Hamas. Of course, it's not Hamas. You have to call on the government of Palestine, not on one party to do this. To implement the 3 conditions, recognize Israel, stop violence, and implement the previous agreements, or recognize the previous agreements. I would have agreed with you had you addressed that to the 2 parties. Violence is not one way, it is a 2-way thing. And don't forget that this is a foreign military occupation. I underline that with 100 lines. It's a foreign military occupation that the people ought to refuse, ought to reject. They have to reject. Otherwise, there will be not normal people to accept the presence of foreign military occupation. That's violence. On the recognition, Israel did not recognize the right of the Palestinians to have a state of their own. Just statements like the one we heard today. But there is nothing at all, a document that says so on their part. So why do you call on one party to recognize Israel and don't call on Israel to recognize the other party? And the third one, about the implementation of past agreements. The record of Israel on implementing past agreements is a abysmal record. So call on them also to implement the accords.